Rahman Rahim. In one hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is mentioned, Mafatihul Jannah, Shahadatu an la ilaha illallah. That the key to Jannah, if a person wants to enter any place, he needs a key to open the door. And the key to Jannat is Shahadat, La ilaha illallah. This is the key for a person to enter into Jannah. And in another hadith of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is mentioned, Maktubun ala babil Jannah. It is written on the door of Jannat, Innani an Allah, la ilaha illa ana. That verily I am Allah, and there is no other deity except me. La u'adhibu man qalaha. That person that recited this kalima la ilaha illallah, that person will not be punished. So just on recitation of kalima la ilaha illallah, a person has got on one side guarantee of Jannat, and on the other side he's got total protection from the fire of Jahannam. And there's a lot of hope. Ulama have written, no matter what guna a person committed, as long as he didn't commit shirk, and a person has recited kalima, for that person there's guarantees eventually going to enter into Jannah. That is why we find by the mashayikh that excessively they encourage recitation of kalima. The murideen, the disciples that were there, excessively recite La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah. In one kitab, Jami'ul Usul, it is written that daily a person should recite minimum 5,000 times. He should take the name of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. But obviously in today's time, I mentioned this before also, in today's time we cannot do this. Our bodies are very, very weak. The food that we eat, etc., we are very, very weak. Not just a few days ago, one person, he sent a message and he wanted to know that I cannot perform Tarawih. He says, I become khushki. He says, I can't even read Tarawih Salah. So I phoned my Hakim, and he's a very pious Hakim also, and I asked him, what should I do? So the doctor gave him guidance, that was his doctor. So the doctor told him that what you're able to do, which was the correct advice. He said, do according to that amount. So he says, sometimes I can read 4 rakat, sometimes I can't even read Tarawih at all. So when a person overexerts the mind, he doesn't realize, then these are the problems that we have. One person, he came once to a Darul Uloom. He was from one of the Darul Ulooms, he was studying as well, but he came to Azarbal for the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan. So when he came to the Khanqa, so whilst the program was on, this person, he got up and he just started reciting. He just started screaming and reciting. So some people, they caught him, they calmed him down, and later at night, about 2 o'clock in the morning, he jumped the fence and he ran onto the highway. So when a person, he overexerts himself, this is the result of it. So the Muhammad Hamid Saheb, at that time we were reading the kitab Maut Ki Yaad, that remembrance of death, that what happens to a person when he enters into the qabr, the questions of Munkar and Nakir, the Akhirat, all this was being recited. Hazrat said, don't read this kitab anymore, change the kitab. He said, read another kitab, where we will discuss the Fazail, and we will discuss the Rahmat of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Read kitabs like that. That is why you find today the ulama also, they don't speak much about Jahannam. They only speak about the Rahmat of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Give a person encouragement. Why? People don't have the capability to endure these type of things. Before, in the previous time, there was a certain muraqabah that people used to make, which is known as muraqabah-e-maut. That before a person goes to sleep every night, just for a few minutes, a person should contemplate a little bit that now I am lying down and I've passed away and my ghusl is been given and people are carrying me and I'm being taken to the qabr and I'm put into the qabr. Today many mashayikh don't even prescribe that any longer, because we cannot endure this. Some that prescribe it, they say just for a few seconds, just contemplate a little bit about it. So Imam Ghazali rahmatullah alayhi, on one occasion, it is mentioned that he spoke about Jahannam. And that too he spoke after speaking 40 years of the Rahmat of Allah. He spoke of the Rahmat of Allah for 40 years. And after 40 years discussing the Rahmat of Allah, one day he spoke about Jahannam. It is mentioned what was the effect. Those were great awliya of Allah Ta'ala. So we can imagine the effect that it used to have on people. Janazas came out from that gathering of Imam Ghazali rahmatullah alayhi. So Allah Ta'ala inspired Imam Ghazali rahmatullah alayhi. Oh Imam Ghazali, that in 40 years my rahmat has come to an end. My rahmat is so limited. Only 40 years you spoke of my rahmat. Meaning that 40 years is nothing. My rahmat is much more than that also. So speak more about the rahmat of Allah Ta'ala, give people encouragement, rather than warning people more about the fire of Jahannam. Yes, there are certain instances, there are certain occasions when people are now breaking the laws of Allah Ta'ala, then the warnings of Jahannam also have to be mentioned. They have to be reminded about the qabr as well. So a person that recites this kalima, La ilaha illallah, so to say this person has already got guarantee that this person is going to enter into Jannah. The father of Shah Waliullah rahmatullahi, it is mentioned in one breath, 200 times La ilaha illallah. He used to recite in one breath. That is, after many, many years of spiritual exercises, this is where they get. And the mashayikh, 25,000, they used to start with La ilaha illallah. On one occasion, we in Darul Mawsil, a student in the second year. So it was the Jalsa time and I gave a bayan. So in the bayan, I spoke about the mashayikh, how they used to reach 125 or 124,000 times La ilaha illallah. So Hazrat Yunus Patel Saheb Rahmatullahi, he was present at that time. And immediately after the bayan, Hazrat made the zikr as well. So Hazrat, when before making the zikr, he said, see, what he has mentioned is 100% correct. And he said, our mashayikh, they made so much of zikr of La ilaha illallah. So the kalima is embedded in the heart of a person. So he said they made that amount of zikr. He says we can admire them, we can aspire for it. But he says don't try it out. Because if you want to try it out without the guidance of a sheikh, you will want to complete that quota of 25 and 30,000 and whatever it might be. But at what expense? When you're going to be going home, then you're going to be fighting with your wife. You're going to be frustrated the whole day. Your workers that are working under you, you're going to be taking out your frustration on them. So on one side, you're trying to do good. But at what expense? You're causing taklif and inconvenience to other people, which is haram. Which is definitely not the way that we're supposed to do things. So a person, whatever he does, do it under the guidance of a sheikh. And the kalima is recited to this extent. Now at the time of maut, we find that kalima is embedded in the heart of a person. Now the kalima will come out. I'll just terminate on this one. Umar Sahib Palanpuri Rahmatullahi used to say, he said that if you take a parrot, he said the parrot, you teach it La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah. Or some people, they teach the parrot Assalamu alaikum. Or some people teach it some dua, whatever it might be. So the parrot, it will say that whatever the parrot has been taught, the parrot will utter it because that is what it has been taught. He says, but the day the parrot comes into the clutches of the cat, forget all that zikr that you taught the parrot. What will it say? Te, te, te. It will make the noise that its original noise is. Why? Because what is in the heart of the parrot, that is what will come out at the time when it is in difficulty. If kalima is in the heart, when a person is in difficulty at the time of maut, when the ruh is now leaving the body, then kalima will come out of the heart. That is why the mashayikh have prescribed kalima so much, it should be recited to the extent that in one hadith it comes that take the name of Allah until people say you are gone insane. But again, under the guidance of a spiritual sheikh. We'll continue with this tomorrow, inshallah.